Well, hello there, and welcome to Martin and Kathy's Coffee Binge. We're so happy that you're here today.
Ah, that's good, Joe.
You did it! Congratulations! World's best cup of coffee. Great job, everybody.
Hey, check it out. We're here.
Welcome to Key House.
I could never get your father to talk about his life here. My kids need a home.
Does it have to be this home?
Hello? Are you my echo?
Yes. Key House is filled with amazing keys. Listen for them. They whisper.
You hear that? How is any of this possible?
This isn't a game. We don't know what these keys unlock.
These keys, they're our legacy. There's something that connects us with Dad.
The past is always with us. You can try and run away. But it's always there. Whatever you think you understand about those keys, you don't.
GDN presents Martin and Kathy's Coffee Binge. Today's binge.
Lock and key.
Greetings and welcome once again to Martin and Kathy's Coffee Binge. We're back by popular demand. Well, our popular demand.
We demanded we were popular. Damn it.
So once again, we delve into the bingeable, the fascinating, the kind of shows that make us think, how did we miss that? Or more importantly, how did you miss that? I'm your host, Martin, along with my lovely wife, the master of the keys to our household, or at least the keys to my heart. My lovely wife, Kathy. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning, Martin.
So, what's going on?
So, let's talk about,
What are we
let's
talking
cut to the chase here.
about? Oh, I guess so. Okay, so what you got?
No, we're going to talk about our PSA about,
Yes.
the COVID-19 here.
Yeah. 8 hours for 2 minutes worth of video.
Oh my God. But that was some funny stuff in between.
Mostly funny stuff in between because we couldn't seem to get a hotel.
That was so terrible, though.
A lesson to be learned here is every time we do, generally speaking, anything, I will start out writing just kind of like a script
An
to go
outline.
by.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do the outline, but I also kind of do a script. That's a horrible idea for me.
Yeah, it is.
Because,
for you.
Yes, because number one, when I do that, it sounds like I'm reading it.
Yep.
And number two, because I'm reading it, I can easily get thrown off, and then it just breaks down into chaos.
But you're a beautiful reader. Like when you're reading a story to the kids or me, or you're reading an article to me, I love that. I find it very.
So how come it sounds like so robotic when I'm doing it for like
because
physically?
you're trying to make it sound perfect. I think. But
Well, that's not
you
working
sound
out.
more perfect when you're just talking.
Right, we're gonna say because that trying to make it sound perfect doesn't work out.
Yeah, well. Anyway.
So anyway, so
yeah.
the PSA.
So that was hilarious, and
So like I said, I started out with a script, and then of course as we kept reading through it, Kathy was rewriting her sections to make it sound more like Kathy.
right.
And so by the time we were done, it basically was rewritten. Basically,
Not that much.
yeah. It was just that you took out all my big words and put in the small words like cat, dog, and things like that. Actually, cat and dog were never included in the whatsoever.
No, but what is going to be included here is a good kick in your rear end when this is over. But
well, that's something to look forward to. Okay.
No, but I just didn't feel like those words were not rolling off my tongue.
Which is exactly what you said, right?
And
So we changed them to words that you could roll off your tongue.
that weren't 4-letter words.
Right.
Which was a
Though,
plus for everybody
surprisingly
out
enough,
there.
throughout that thing, there was very few of those actually. Even in the outtakes, I think I can think of one.
I only had one really good one.
Right.
I did.
So I guess there's always that. But for some reason or another, we couldn't get through a 2-minute spiel without messing it up. Or stuttering or laughing. Actually, more laughing than anything else. Eventually, of course, the plus side was I got to read through this thing so much by the time we were ready to do a final take of it toward the end, I didn't need to read it. I didn't need to read it anymore because I knew it. Lucky for me, because my wife, who actually had been doing her part almost perfect almost the entire time, when we got toward the end, suddenly she just went blank in the middle of her thing and basically just threw it back to me when I wasn't even expecting it to come back.
Yes, Martin.
And what else? Right? It was almost like getting her on a phone call. Usually when she calls you.
What else?
Yeah, so what else is going on? Nothing, just like I told you 15 minutes ago, and the time you asked before that, and the time you asked before that. So anyway, we ended up getting 2 minutes of public service announcement about COVID, and appreciate everyone for joining us on Geeks Vibe Nation in an 8-hour time span.
Right.
But we were smart enough to keep those recordings for future posterity.
Yeah,
If
because I'm
nothing
gonna
else
tell you
for
what,
us.
there's some good. I don't know. There's some funny. It probably was funny to us because it probably is not funny to anybody else. It was only funny to us because, well, by a certain point, we were just slap happy, I guess.
I think that was as much to it toward the end there, especially toward that last one where I just fell down.
Oh my God, that was
but
so
that has something to do with like facelifts and things. But let's not get into that. Okay, so Lock and Key is a Netflix show that was that so far has just been one season. They actually just renewed it for its second season.
That is correct.
It premiered on February 7th of this year.
That's correct.
Like I said, and it's based on the graphic novel by writer Joe Hill and artist Gabriel Rodriguez. Some people say Gabriel.
Well,
but
we don't.
Yeah,
Now we're going to cut that out because
No.
I didn't like that the first time you did it.
It doesn't.
I want it just to be say Gabriel.
I'd hate for the man to say, "You mispronounced my name."
And then I want to say Gabriel Rodriguez.
You get that? You got that out of your system now?
Yeah, Gabriel Rodriguez.
You were you offended for the man?
I was.
Okay, apparently so.
And I'm going to tell you what. If I'm wrong, then I will
I
absolutely
will
apologize to him.
when he writes you or calls you and lets you
That
know.
is correct. I'll let him know that I'm super sorry.
Okay. So anyway, the graphic novels were a series of basically 7 chapters, 6 issues each.
Right.
And they basically said now they were compared to the TV show, and it makes sense that Netflix went this route, is they wanted to make it more viewer friendly because the graphic novel is just by its name is very graphic. If you've never read the graphic novel, you can still watch Lock and Key, and it's a little confusing, but they'll fill in because they do some time jumps.
Right.
But you'll kind of figure out what's going on.
It's very easy. Their time jumps are easy to follow.
Right. I mean, they make it relatively clear,
Yeah.
what was before and what was after. But if you turn your head for a moment or try to walk away from it, you might get confused. So anyway, so you got so there's 3 children and of course their mother Nina. And what ended up happening was the father Rendell ended up being killed in the beginning by a former student, Sam Lesser.
Right.
And they end up stopping. His mother ended up stopping Sam by hitting him in the head with a hammer. Basically, that will stop you.
Bang, bang, Maxwell's silver hammer came down upon his head.
Yeah. So anyway, so he ended up getting. Of course, his father was killed, so they thought they needed a fresh start. So she ended up packing the kids up, and they moved back to the father's family home, which was the Key House. The Key House, I think the brother kind of described it as Norman Bates looking like, and that's a good description for the house.
Very good description.
Right. It looks rather creepy, very large paintings. You basically
Very Victorian, old Victorian looking.
Could be a haunted mansion, really, with very little effort, really. So anyway, so that is when they move to the key house. That is when Bodhi starts hearing the whispering and finding the keys, which leads into the adventure of this show. Okay, so we've talked about it. Let's talk a little bit about the cast. Who's in the cast? Now, I have to be honest that most of the cast members of this show I had never really seen before. I mean, I didn't.
I find that pleasant, and I'll tell you why I find that so pleasant. Because when you're not really sure about an actor, it makes the whole thing so much more, almost kind of believable.
Yeah, because then you're not saying, okay, yeah, I know him from this other show and this other show. If this is the first time you've seen him, then right, it's a whole lot easier.
And especially a creepy show, a creep show like this is. I mean, it's not terribly creepy, but it's creepy enough.
Right.
And it just gives you enough creep. It gives you that.
Well, they lean more to the supernatural kind of thing than the gore.
It still makes the hair stand up on
right. And certain instances for sure. Okay, so in Lock and Key, we have Darby Stanchfield as Nina Locke, who is the matriarch of the Locke family. She's the one who decides to move the family once her husband dies. Right. Aaron Ashmore let's back up the track. Bill Heck is Rendell Locke, who is the patriarch of the family, and his death is what kind of is the impetus for the whole thing.
Right.
Okay. Aaron Ashmore is Duncan Locke, which is Rendell's brother, and he's the keeper of the house. When they're moved back to Key House,
right.
His brother is the one who's taking care of the house.
Correct.
Until they move in. All right. So then we get to the kids. Connor Jessup is Tyler Locke, who is the oldest. Tyler Locke.
Oh, Tyler.
Wow.
I'm so sorry, honey. I heard Tyler Locke, and I'm thinking, that sounds like something you didn't pay your parking tickets.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Tyler.
That could have been what happened, though. That's why they named him Tyler Locke. Because when they went to go to the hospital to have him, they couldn't go because...
This is going downhill in a big giant hurry.
I'm sorry. All right, go. I'm sorry. You're going to have to take that out now. All right, go.
So far, I haven't heard anything. I'm going to keep it. Amelia Jones is Kinsey Locke, who is the middle child.
Right.
And Jackson Robert Scott is Bodhi.
Right.
And Bodhi is kind of like I said, we talked about the death of the father being the impetus. Bodhi is the impetus once they get to the house.
Correct.
Because he is the one going through the house, finding the keys,
right.
Finds the well lady, kind of pushes
all
the story up.
Whispering is heard by him.
Right. He hears the whisper. Most people hearing whispers don't go toward the whisper. They would go away from the whisper, but he plows right in.
I really tried to hear what they were saying, but they weren't really saying anything.
Yeah, well, they asked him. I think he said, "What was it saying?" I couldn't really tell, and I really don't know if it's actually saying anything or not. Though I think maybe at one point it might have said his name, might have. But then again, that could be the well thing, and we haven't gotten into that. And of course, all the whispering and the well lady is Lisa de Oliveira.
That's
is
right.
Dodge.
Right.
I had to practice that a lot because it doesn't.
And she's beautiful, so.
Well, she's dressed like she's going to the prom all the time, at least until she's. I'm not sure exactly what the deal was with that, but of course she is the antagonist of the story, kind of the dynamic, who also wants the keys, but she wants them for whatever that purpose is. We're not for sure.
We don't even know yet, right?
Right, but none of it's good. It's all bad.
Right, that's for sure.
Okay, so and of course, once the kids get into school, they start making friends. Patrice Jones is Scott Cavendish, which is a young filmmaker who makes friends with Kinsey, and he kind of recruits Kinsey into helping him with his film. Griffin Gluck plays Gabe, who is another student at the school, who also becomes friends with. Is in the
Kinsey.
same group as Scott. Matter of fact, he plays the monster in the cheesy monster film. Though Scott would tell you otherwise. He thinks he's going to get an Oscar for this thing.
For sure.
Then Sherry Saum plays Ellie Whedon, who is a teacher at the school and also was a friend of Rendell's back when they were kids. And she has a big part to play in what happened in the past.
Right.
And what kind of, again, sets things in motion.
Right.
Kobe Bird plays Rufus Whedon, which is her son.
Right.
I have an affinity for Rufus because, of course, he is a kid on the.
Autism.
I'm assuming they don't
Yeah.
really say it, but I'm
No.
assuming he's on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
Him and Bodhi become friends because they both have enough. They both like GI Joes,
Right.
And Rufus actually knows all about weapons and things. Just because those are the weapons that GI Joe uses, so
Right.
he's familiar with that. And also, he is basically he takes care of the Locke house.
Yes, he does. He does all the maintenance on the outside and stuff like that.
That's his job.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have all these characters, and there's a lot more about all these characters, and the whole plot of the show, basically, like I said, Rendell is killed. He's killed by a former student.
Right, because he's a counselor at the school.
Right, and he was trying to help Sam.
Right.
So,
Right.
Sam Lesser, who actually is played by Thomas Mitchell Barnett. He plays Sam Lesser.
Yes.
And I said, Sam Lesser has had some issues, so he's going to see Rendell as the counselor. Rendell tells his son, I want you to spend some time with Sam because Sam needs a friend.
He needs a friend.
Right. Which I just want you to spend time with him.
Right.
Tyler really doesn't really want to spend time with, but he's not
Sam,
really, he's not given a choice. Really, he
Right.
says, "I'm not asking you, I'm telling you." So he does. He's
And they start to have a little bit of a bond. and-
so they get to be friendly, and this is part of the problem that Tyler ends up having in the show is, of course, Tyler's not been getting along with his dad. And
Right.
they've been having, basically because he thinks his dad wants too much of him. He has expectations for him that he's never going to meet.
Right. Or thinks so.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and of course, in Sam's case, he has a father who is abusive.
Correct.
So, while Sam is talking to Tyler, he mentions that, at some point I thought about killing my dad. And Tyler says, of course, he's mad at the time when they're talking. And he says, well, if you ever kill your dad, you should kill mine too. Well, of course, come to find out, Sam does kill his dad. So that's part of Tyler's issues. It's because he's feeling guilty. Which, come to find out, that's a whole guilt trip that he didn't need to lay on himself.
Right.
Of course, and that's because Sam is actually getting directions from our famous well lady,
Right.
Dodge. So, like I said, Dodge is basically kind of pushing all of the evil stuff that's going on. In the meantime, like I said, Bodhi is going through the Locke house. He's finding the keys that do magical things. And, of course, initially, only he knows about it.
Right.
So his brother and sister just think, okay, you really got you got a great imagination. Just go play. And of course, they eventually find out otherwise. The different keys do different things. Like I said, I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of it because.
Then what's the point of you
Right.
not watching? You
Right.
no need to watch it. I
Right.
can tell you the whole story.
So there's enough supernatural stuff going on in it that's worth watching.
And I will tell you this, for me, the story moved along very swiftly. It wasn't like you were waiting, God, when's something else going to happen here? It was always something happening. There was always the next thing developing. It was always, it didn't drag on. You didn't.
No, they did. Like I said, they did jump around in time a little bit, but
I didn't care about that. That wasn't.
Well, basically, it was
confusing to me.
because they were talking about basically going back, explaining what they're talking about now.
Right.
So it wasn't that confusing,
Right.
and it was just kind of filling in the.
Giving you background,
Right,
basically.
filling in the gap of what was going on.
Yeah, that background was good background, and it also wasn't confusing that they were how they were talking about it, and the references were good. References were good, but it did not slow the story down. Is what I'm trying to say. The story was very methodically moving forward all the time.
Right, and of course, part of the problems the children were having, especially once you got all the children involved, is. They want to talk to their mother about it, but
And they can't talk
They can't
about
talk to her
it, yeah.
because as an adult, just like I said,
She don't get it.
She doesn't get it. Again, it's the Polar Express thing, where once you become an adult, magic and things
Right.
just kind of you just stop believing in them, and that's the way the house worked. The house worked was once you became an adult, And it was the house kind of called it is how they're protecting the keys is by once you became an adult you didn't remember this stuff. So of course they're wanting to talk to their mother about it or talk to their Uncle Duncan about it, and they don't know what the heck they're talking about.
Can't help them out.
And which is kind of the interesting thing is especially for Duncan, they would tell him and show him things, and he'd be looking at it, and then right after he's okay. So what do you think about that? About what? And just immediately forget again. Of course, you'll come to find out later in the story why that is. Why Duncan specifically doesn't remember. The mother is just because she's an adult doesn't remember.
Right. So that kind of wraps that part of it up. I know that I felt like I'm ready for the second season. I'm ready for it to happen.
But of course, like I said, and then at the end of the first season, they basically left it. I mean, they left it wide open. So if they didn't do a second season, there was something.
Man,
there's going to have to do something because unless you just want to say, okay, no, we've left all these questions unanswered and we're never going to answer them. Which I would imagine that would make viewers a little. Of course, Netflix viewers are really used to getting the shaft. Generally speaking, on certain, ask any Marvel fan about a Netflix show that ended before you were ready to end it, and they'll tell you. So that wouldn't be that. But in this case, you had to know they were going to do a second season.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what, and I look forward to it too because it is really exciting. You'll enjoy this. This is, I believe there was 10 episodes on this.
Yeah, there was 10 episodes, like I said, so it's a quick binge.
Yep.
Like I said, the supernatural thing is very interesting. Like I said, all good performances by the young cast, and there's a little, again, there's a little twist at the end,
right?
That you didn't know about, which they pretty much, like I said, it was a twist, but they basically explained everything that happened. So again, even though they left it open for the second season, it's not like you're going into a blind that, hey, I didn't know this happened or this happened. Or
yeah, true.
They pretty much in the last 10 minutes. They basically recap everything that, basically recap the twist.
Right.
So you were ready for second season.
For sure.
Like I said, and so now, of course, when second season shows up, we have no idea because, number one, because just like most shows on Netflix, it's not like they race to the door to get them out. They take their time normally anyway with the whole COVID-19 thing. There's no telling when we're going to see season 2.
There's no telling when we're going to see anything anymore.
But, like I said, because of that, you've got plenty of time to go ahead and watch.
Yes, that's the key here.
So to speak.
And that's why the key is that we are going to get to binge all kinds of things that maybe when they come up. I felt so kind of ripped off because there's so many good things out here to watch, and golly, you'd have to be off work for months and months at a time.
Just so happens.
Hey, and those of you who are working from home, guess what? You can probably slide a few of these in during your coffee break.
Especially like this one. I said I have to do episodes last an hour long. They're not quite an hour, are they? They're close?
Very close. I think they're 50 minutes to an hour.
And of course, like this one, like I said, because we were not familiar with the graphic novel this was based on, those little trailer things that Netflix puts before episodes.
I love those. They are very good.
Right.
Very good.
They suck you in on a lot of these things. Which is what kind of happened with this one, like I said, because, again, like I said, I wasn't familiar with the graphic novel at the time.
Hey, that's why I started watching Outlander, and I had no intentions of watching that show.
Right, and here we are in the 5th season. And
I can't wait for Sunday's episode.
Right. Okay, so anyway, so that's Locke and Key. You need to watch it, especially if you're into the supernatural thing. Like I said, if you want to read the graphic novel it's based on, it is available, to purchase. You can, and like I said, see what the differences are, but like you said, it's not necessary by any means. You can watch it just as it is. So, like I said, that's Locke and Key for us, and that's our episode of Martin and Kathy's Coffee Binge. I'm Martin.
And I'm Kathy.
And we'll catch you next time through.
Bye.
Bye.